Ladies and gentlemen, we are here for the inaugural edition of the Don Mafia show. That's right. We are going to be covering all breaking news from the NFL. And might I say, what not to have a more appropriate topic than with Carson Wentz going to the Indianapolis Colts. And I thought from the exact second that this news broke who I was going to bring on. And it is none other than my buddy Derek from the Bring the Juice podcast. Derek, what is going on, my guy?
Oh man, dude, it's been a long day, a lot of recording, a lot of live streaming, a breaking news kind of day. I must say that this news definitely has me in all kinds of emotions, and I just continue to keep talking about it, man. This is a crazy, crazy event.
And so here's the deal, right? Like right before we get into the news, so the 2020 season, first off, like I was very impressed with the Colts. And not going to lie to you, like right as a Bills fan, I was shitting my pants for the majority of that first playoff game. I really, really was. I have to give it to you.
I appreciate it. From the very beginning, I was not putting any expectations on the Colts at all because I was walking in, assuming that the Bills were going to win. You obviously had, your prediction on it, and Cody and I had our prediction on it. I think Cody and I can agree that we had a little bit closer of a prediction than you did, but your team ultimately did win. You guys were the better team that day. We just failed to execute in the key moments. And yeah, dude, I was so upset at the end knowing that we could have won that game. We shouldn't have won that game, but we could have won that game. And that makes me even more upset.
And so, dude, honestly, man, like we completely played like shit. Like, honestly, like I think the Buffalo Bills played ass backwards the entire playoffs and we just fell into the AFC Championship. Like there was not a single like stellar performance that we had that entire postseason. But like one thing that we do need to talk about, I'm sure you remember because you and I were talking about this right before we ended up pressing record. My video previewing the Bills and Colts game was titled, "The Buffalo Bills are about to murder the Indianapolis Colts," right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And so like I was hoping that you guys like picked that up and you did exactly what I wanted you to do. You retweeted it, and then we had this entire Twitter beef, like moving forward with it. Mm-hmm. And honestly, bro, like I just want to tell you, like I knew that the game was going to be a lot closer, but like my entire shtick on YouTube is just being completely outrageous. So I do want to let you know, going into that game, I did not believe that we were about to murder you guys. I was exclusively doing it for views.
And so I hope you know remember that.
And so I hope you know that, bro. Like that's like my entire shtick. And for anybody watching this, like that's like normally like my mindset. Like, okay, like what title is going to like drive people to click?
Oh yeah, and it certainly did, and it is good looking back at it now because it did bring a good storyline. It got everybody talking. It got our fan base talking, saying like, "Who the hell is this guy?" Like over here saying this. So it was funny for sure.
So it's funny because I still have some of your fans, I'm pretty sure, that like still like go into my comment section and always remind me that the Bills did not murder the Colts.
Like, that you put that one on yourself, man. I can't control what they do.
I had to, dude. Like that entire situation was absolutely insane.
Yeah.
Oh my God. But and so you know what? Like great season. As far as Phillip Rivers leaving, I mean, I saw that coming. I figured that this season was going to be his swan song, if you will. And so I really did. So now, like, let's go on ahead and let's talk about the breaking news that just happened, right? You just got Carson Wentz, okay? So before I get into the conversation of did you want him, like, was this a surprise to you?
No. I would say it's more shocking than it is surprising. It makes sense in a lot of ways that the Colts would go after Carson Wentz, and I'm sure we'll talk about that here in a little bit. But it's just shocking that it happened now because I was going to be shocked regardless of who the quarterback was going to be, because that's the great thing about our GM and Chris Ballard. No one knows where he actually is mentally with a lot of these trades. He keeps a tight little book, and he does not spread anything with anyone. You know, like we were talking about off air, you know, the trade rumors kind of started picking up, and I was more anxious of just like wanting to know when was this going to be over, because it's, from what we're hearing, it's either Carson Wentz to Indy or he just gets stuck in Philadelphia at this point. So yeah, I wasn't super surprised, but yeah, I am still kind of shocked because, you know, it's a new quarterback for the Indianapolis Colts, and you got people on every side of the aisle with it. So it's just going to be a lot of fun to talk about.
Yeah. And so honestly, like, I mean, like, I like do watch you and Cody's like content like regularly, because I always try to like watch sort of the opposing opinion as far as that is concerned. But I didn't catch, once Phillip Rivers retired, like, who was the guy that you like wanted? Like, in an ideal world, like, say that cap space was not an issue, like, who did you want in Indy? Who did you want in Indy?
Talking reasonable, or are we talking like if you could have had any chance?
Let's go both.
Okay.
Let's go both situations.
Let's say nothing mattered. Deshaun Watson to Indianapolis,
Okay.
I think, was everyone's favorite there. Me personally, and I think Cody would agree with this too, that we were kind of bracing for Ballard to trade up in the draft. Now, me personally, I'm a big Ohio State fan, as you can see by the poster behind me.
Yeah.
So, you know, I'm a big Justin Fields guy, and that's just not me being a homer. I honestly think he's the second best quarterback in this draft, and I was really hoping that the Colts would move up in per se to deal with it. But, you know, when I looked at it from the most realistic option that I was thinking we were going to end up doing, it was either going to be Darnold or it was going to end up being Wentz. And, you know, sure enough, Wentz was the biggest commodity there because of Frank Reich.
Okay. Very interesting. And so realistic was Wentz, is what you're saying? So
yeah,
realistic was
realistically,
okay.
Sam Darnold or Wentz was the most logical options, because I wanted Ballard to maybe take that chance of moving up, but that's not Ballard's MO. I didn't expect him to do that. So Wentz and Darnold made the most sense to me.
Sure. So once the news broke, right? And so in fact, like, maybe not even talking about how you feel right now, what is the majority of like Colts Nation feeling? Like, I'm sure that you've scoured through Twitter. Like, what's the percentage of people that are absolutely pumped about this? And what's the percentage of people that are like, yo, fuck, I'm done with this team. Like, fuck it.
It's a lot closer than what you might think it is. I would say probably 60% of the Colts fan base is like, heck yeah, dude, we're glad we got Wentz at the deal that we got him. You know, this is going to be great. You know, it's going to be awesome. I'm in that kind of category a little bit as well. I'm teeter-tottering on, you know, this is great towards, you know, I'm on the fence a little bit. And then I would say about 30% of the Colts fan base is saying, what in the actual hell are you doing, Chris Ballard? I absolutely hate you. Frank Reich needs to go after this, because, like, why are we letting Frank Reich's obscenity with his old quarterbacks be the reason why we get these guys? And then, you know, about 10% of people are teeter-tottering on which one they're deciding. They have no idea at this point. So it's pretty close. There's not an overwhelming support system out there for Carson Wentz to the Colts. Ironically, I think more people on the Eagles side are more upset at Carson Wentz leaving than there are Colts fans actually excited of him being here. So if that tells you anything.
Okay. Now, from your perspective, would you say, this is super premature and this is super early, but would you say from your perspective that this is an upgrade from Phillip Rivers, or is this the exact same thing?
I believe that long-term that this is a definite upgrade from someone like a Phillip Rivers, because Carson Wentz has the ability to be more mobile. It allows you to run an offense a lot more effectively than I think Frank Reich wants to with the RPOs. And I think once you start to get Carson Wentz back into his confidence and mentally he's back into a better groove, I think this is a guy that is a gunslinger. He's not afraid to throw it down 60 yards down the field. We know Phillip Rivers couldn't do that a lot, especially towards the end of the season.
Yeah.
But Carson Wentz doesn't have that problem. I just think, again, it's going to have to be the mental game of, does Carson Wentz buy in to what Frank Reich wants to do? And I don't necessarily think that's going to be an issue, but I think long-term, this is going to be a much better option. I wouldn't say much better. Let me rephrase that. I don't necessarily think he's going to be like head over heels better, but I do believe it is an upgrade athletically. And I think for long-term sake, he is definitely the right quarterback that we took over Rivers.
And so it's funny too, because I look at Wentz, and one thing that absolutely blows my mind is how a city can completely turn on a quarterback after one bad year. After one bad year, they were ready to send this fool off. They were ready to send this fool off, and they completely ignored the fact that their offensive line was historically fucking terrible. And now this guy is going to the best offensive line in football. So,
I invite you to look at the stream I did with RB. He breaks down just how much the city of Philadelphia turned on Wentz, and it's so unfair. I get Philadelphia is a very tough place, and it's a fan base and a media place that is a lot tougher on players. They'll turn on you very quickly if you're not 100%. But yeah, Philly never gave Wentz a fair shot. Never. They never gave him a fair shot. Ever since Nick Foles won them that Super Bowl, Carson Wentz has taken a back seat to every single quarterback that they've brought in. Every single one.
And so it's insane too. Really, honestly, I am under the impression that the second that Wentz gets into Indy, behind that offensive line, by the way, I'm not very familiar free agents that are pending. And so I'm assuming that your offensive line is still pretty much intact as far as
yeah. Left tackle perfect. Is the only position that we have of need currently. The other four are still there, but I think Ballard is going to address that in the draft.
This is actually going to be very interesting. In my opinion, trust me, I'm sure that you guys would have been pumped if salary cap was not an issue, that Watson would have rolled into Indy and just lead y'all all the way to the Lombardi. But I do think that Wentz was probably a pretty solid option for you at this point. I really, really do.
And the great thing is about that trade that a lot of people don't talk about. They talk about the draft picks, but what they also didn't know is the Eagles ate $33 million of that cap that was put on his contract. They are eating $33 million. It's the most dead cap eaten by a quarterback in the history of the NFL. So the Colts for the next 2 years.
It's how much you paying this guy.
Yeah, so it's like
this guy.
Yeah, so it's he is going to get paid by Ballard and company $24.5 million over the next 2 years on average. So we're paying him less money than we're paying Phillip Rivers, and most of that money is going to come into this contract. So in 2 years, the Colts can restructure it the way they want to and not have to pay him, 35, 37 million or whatever the money was that the Eagles paid him. So basically, on top of only giving up a third and whatever other draft pick they end up getting from the compensatory, the Eagles ate up half his contract. So he only paid half.
And so you stole him. Yeah,
he said, RB said we fleeced Howie Roseman, and he laughed at him. He laughed at his own GM that he got fleeced so bad. So, I love it. I loved it. That you gave up virtually nothing this year for Carson Wentz, and you're not even having to pay half that contract.
Dude, wow. And so, this free agency has been completely ridiculous so far. Honestly, all right. So with Wentz, honestly, I totally understand that free agency hasn't happened quite yet. The draft hasn't happened. It seems like that from the Colts' perspective that you guys are sitting pretty as far as returning players this year. And so am I wrong or am I right?
Absolutely right. The
Got it.
Colts
Okay.
actually have like the youngest average roster in the entire NFL. Most of the people who are starting are currently on their rookie deals still.
Got it. And that is a beautiful, beautiful place to be. Like the exact same thing with the Bills. So do you think like next year, like honestly, like this is like super premature, like right at this point. So do you see the Colts being better, the same, or worse than the 2020 season with this addition of Wentz? This is super premature, like I said.
Yeah,
super
right.
Premature. Super fucking premature.
Yeah, I am. It is way too early for me to guess it. My guess is they stay pretty close to the same. I think there's more upside. I think that they have the ability to. They will probably end up being better down the road than what they would be worse. But I'd say right off the bat, they're going to probably be about the same team. I know that, you know, obviously we look at it now because Phillip Rivers was actually pretty decent at the end of the year. He wasn't amazing, but he wasn't terrible by any stretch. No. And, you know, I expect Carson Wentz to have some growing pains early because he's still going to try to get used to the new team and all the new additions they're going to have. But the core foundation of this team is going to remain intact, and that's not going to be an issue. So this team is going to stay relevant. They're going to stay in the playoff hunt. They're going to stay potentially Super Bowl contenders so long as Carson Wentz continues to show improvement.
And so y'all's defense is just fucking scary, dude. Y'all's defense is so fucking good. Man, like that playoff game, like I like look back, say that it wasn't for the Gabe Davis like toe touches like right during like that second quarter, then like this would be an entire different game. And so that missed pass from Rivers right to Pittman, like right in the end zone. And so I know what you're talking about, bro. If he were to connect on that, then that game would have been completely different, and Buffalo Bills fans would have been pissed.
Different plays away.
Yes.
That game was a few plays away from flipping the complete opposite direction. Two plays could have made the huge difference to flip that game. 100%.
Dude, honestly, man, like, I mean, like, I do like the Colts, and so, like, I mean, like I said, this is super premature, and so I do have you guys winning the division next year. Of course, it's free agency, and so, of course, you know, like, there's, like, the draft, etc., like, moving forward, but, like, I mean, like, I, like, love your team, I, like, love what you're doing. I do want Marlon Mack. He's a free agent. I want that guy.
I think Ballard is probably going to ship him. I'll say this. If you guys are willing to give him a 3-year contract for $8 million a year, okay, I assure you get him. I assure you get him. Okay. And here's the thing. I'll say this in regards to how that game could have been flipped. I will put this on my deathbed, Dan. I believe this to my heart and soul. If Kamoko Toure does not jump on that offsides to force that drive at the end of the first half to continue for the Bills, I promise you the Colts probably would have won. The Colts probably would have won because on that 4th down and 3, all they had to do was not jump, and Kamoko Toure jumped, and it kept the drive going. You had 50 more seconds, and Josh Allen went to work. It angers me so much to this day.
Dude, trust me. Like, I mean, like, not going to lie to you. Out of every single playoff game that we experienced, that game made my butthole the tightest it has ever been. Was that game, bro. That game was like, and so the Baltimore game, surprisingly, like I like knew like the entire game. I was just like, yo, we got this. Like, we got this. Like, we're good.
Of the Browns and the Chiefs, I would argue that the best game of the whole playoffs, including the Super Bowl, was that Bills and Colts game. I could make that argument.
And so, you know what? I think I can agree with you on there.
I mean, it was the closest one, and it was the most action, too, because, you know, you guys beat the Ravens 17-3. That's not fun. Tampa Bay destroyed Kansas City in the Super Bowl. Sure. That's not fun.
Not
you know,
fun
the Chiefs were destroying you guys until, you know, they started letting you guys get some points back.
And so until garbage time happened. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so it's like, you know, all these other games, and then, you know, all of these games that were just either blowouts or they just weren't as exciting, but the Colts and the Bills going all the way down to that last minute, that was a lot of fun.
And for sure it was. Well, honestly, man, listen, like, I mean, like, we do have some revenge because the Bills and the Colts actually play each other next year in 2021.
Oh, okay. All right.
I'm pretty sure that it is in Buffalo. I want to say. In fact, let me go on ahead and, like, let me pull this up real fast. Bills opponents, Bills 2021.
I was gonna say they haven't released the home or aways yet, have they? I don't think they have.
Yes, they did, as a matter of fact. So, like, they have released the home and aways, but they haven't. Okay, so, like, the Colts are coming to Buffalo, and so the Colts are coming to Buffalo. Like, the dates aren't like ready to go. And so let me ask you this. And so do you normally go to games like minus a pandemic? Like, say that a pandemic is not going on, like. So do you ever go to a Colts game that's like not in Indy?
I cannot say that I have ever gone to a. Yeah, I have gone to one Indianapolis Colts game that was not in Indy, but it was also in Cleveland, which is almost about the same distance, the opposite direction as where I was living when I went to Indy. So, you know, that's not too far, but. You know, I am a season ticket holder this year. So
okay, you are
even with the pandemic, I am going to be going to a couple games this year. You know, we're probably going to be doing some ticket giveaways otherwise. But sick. Yeah, some games next year I will be going. Yes.
Okay, sick. So this is one thing that I'm going to invite you to. So, like, I mean, like, you live in Kentucky, right?
Yeah, Northern Kentucky. Yep.
Okay, you're in Kentucky. I am not only extending the invitation, but I'm trying to also, like, let you know that you need to experience a Bills Mafia tailgate.
I always wanted.
I need you to do whatever you can to find a way to come up and tailgate with the Bills Mafia for the Colts game, since it is going to be in Buffalo.
I will look into that invitation very highly because I absolutely love Bills Mafia and what they do for tailgating is absolutely crazy. Hopefully the pandemic doesn't shut much of that down, but
yeah,
if that's true, yeah, I will definitely work around that and I'll see if I can make it work.
So hey, Derek, listen, like, I mean, like, we will put you through a table, my friend. We will get fucking hammered, like, ready to go. And so you drink, bro, or nah?
Yeah, really? I drink. I'm not a big drinker. You know,
okay.
I social drink with family and friends. You know, when we're watching like an Ohio State game or something, I'll go to my uncle's with my dad and we'll drink a little bit. But you know, I don't get plastered very often. So you know, I'm not used to that very often. So it only takes me a couple, and then I'm starting to feel it going already. So
got it. Well, say for example that you do take my invitation to the Bills Mafia tailgate, I will ensure personally that you and I will get completely roasted.
All right. Okay. As long as I have a place to go that night, then I'll be okay with it.
Oh, my bad. Hey, listen. Well, hey, guys. Derek, thank you so much for tuning in, man. Like, for real, man. Like, we definitely appreciate you tuning in today. Was super informative. Why don't you let everyone know where we can find you?
You guys can find Cody and I on YouTube at Bring the Juice Colts podcast. And you guys can follow us on Twitter. It's for the podcast Twitter, it's at BTJ Pod. For myself, it's at Derek_larger. Very simple. And you guys can find us on Spotify, Google Playlists, Apple Podcasts, anywhere that you listen to podcasts. We're up on it. So shouldn't be very difficult. Just look up Bring the Juice Colts podcast.
And so, hey, Dumb Mafia, once again, I am going to be putting their information right in the description, so make sure that you subscribe to them moving forward. And besides that, Derek, my guy, thank you so much for joining us. It was super informative. And Dumb Mafia, thank you again, and we'll see you next time. Deuces.